Sometimes you're going to get confronted with a situation in a bunker where your ball won't be sitting on a level piece of ground. It's going to be, or a little level piece of dirt. It's going to be sitting either downhill or uphill, and you may have to get the ball out and onto the green in order to keep a good score going. And certainly for a lot of people that play shots like this one, which is a downhill shot, it probably creates even more problems than an uphill shot, as you can imagine, because uphill it's already sitting there. It's a little easier to elevate the ball, but when it's downhill and you're trying to hit the ball in the air, it's a little more challenging for people. And in this lesson I'm going to explain the reasons why it's a little more challenging, but more importantly a simple system that you can use that will help you to get the ball out of the bunker from a downhill lie every single time. You'll see that I have my target arrow set up just to show you the angle from the top of the bank and down into the ground. This lie certainly isn't as steep as that arrow, but the arrow is there to illustrate an important point. When you play a bunker shot, I'm sure you've heard this before, but you try and match your shoulders up to the slope angle. But what a lot of people do, because they play most of their golf shots off the ground, off level ground, their right shoulder invariably is under their left shoulder. So when they're asked to do this, they don't do it very well. In other words, the right shoulder's still a long way under the left. The golf club tends to hit the ground too soon for golfers, and as a consequence they hit the top of the ball and the ball ends up rocketing along the ground, doesn't get out of the bunker, or you hit too much of the ball a bit thin and it flies over the green. So we need to get solid contact, and the way we do that, with that arrow set up, you could set up a golf club when you're practicing this in a bunker. Just lay a golf club on the ground so that you can get an idea of the way you want your angle of your shoulders to be. Now it's kind of a little weird to do this, but basically I'm going to get my left shoulder to feel a long way under my right shoulder in the setup position. But I need to do this, and the reason is, if I draw a line along here away from that golf ball, what I've got to ensure is that when I set up like this, that I can get the golf club entering the sand as close to that line as I possibly can. And you can see that I can do a good job of that. If I get my shoulders too level, watch the difference. Well, there I didn't even get it into the sand, it just skimmed across the top, and that would be a disastrous golf shot. So I've got to ensure that when I set up to the ball, I'll stand nice and wide for this. Again, I want my upper body to be inside my feet, but I widen my stance so I don't get as much mobility with my hips, and even my shoulders to a great extent are sort of not moving very much. My chest is face onto the ball. I lower my left shoulder so it's lower than my right shoulder as much as I can. I feel a lot of pressure on my front leg, but you have to deal with that. My head actually in relation to the ball is slightly in front. If you look at the shadow here, you can see that my head is actually forward there, and I need to keep myself there and strike the ball, and I may even feel like I'm going to move forward after I hit it, and that's okay. Just make sure of the solid contact. So it'll kind of look like this. Left shoulder down, swing back, swing through. Now I got lots and lots of height on that shot, really high. The ball's gone up on an angle like that off a downhill slope. Let me do that one more time for you, and then think about what's going on there. In fact, even if I move it a bit further back, you can see now I've got it further back, so I'm a little closer to the back edge there. I set up, I look at that arrow on the ground, and that helps me to understand the angle of my shoulders. Now, where my ball is played in the stance is probably going to be about middle as you look at it. And remember, the key here is, again, if I draw a line, and this is a good way to practice it, put your club down off the wall there, and then just practice. When you get your shoulder low enough, you'll find that the golf club will start cutting the front of that line. And that tells you that you're the right amount. If I level my shoulders out, remember, you can see the cut is way back of the line. So again, set up. Now, because it's downhill, I'll just open my sand iron up a little bit, but not too much, because if I open my sand iron up too much, I'll get too much bounce on the bottom of the club. I actually want this club to dig into the downhill slope. I don't want it to bounce. Left shoulder lower than right, looks like this. Make a nice full swing. And again, perfect shot came out, land on the green, lots of spin, lots of elevation. The key, getting my left shoulder to be much lower than my right shoulder, club on the ground there like that, draw a line here and practice cutting as close to that line as you can. And you'll find that you can turn what is a very difficult shot into an easier shot just by understanding that and understanding this relationship of how the shoulders help to change the angle of the plane of the stroke so that you get more ball, a little closer to the ball at least, and not get the ground behind it, which is going to lead to disastrous shots. So I hope this lesson has helped you to understand that you can get these shots out of the bunker successfully, which will lead to lower score.